Well, good morning, everybody, from my car on the Upper West Side. Um, Talk about like what's going on in Emor, opening the channels so that we can live in society, build a society with a direct channel to the energies that are way beyond us. I have no idea how it is really that I could be sitting in my car, um, and there's this hot spot that is channeling the connection. Um, so I guess I'd like to be able to see that as something intensely spiritual going on. Yeah, not just see it as some technological advance. And I think that's what this Torah portion, one of the things this Torah portion and the whole Torah is about. So this week it's Emor, which is one of the verb forms of to say, saying. And actually the word, and we're in the middle of Leviticus, in the wilderness, in the desert, trying to figure out what is the structure now of this people that has really advanced to new, greater and greater levels of freedom. And of course, the journey always continues, like ours does, thousands of years later. And something that I'm grateful for in Torah is that there is always that element of hope, of this sense that there's an advance. And it is hard, I think, in our world today to have a sense that we are advancing. I think we're in much more of a not knowing. Um, anyway, in Amor, in the very first verse, the words for saying are repeated twice. Once in the force, the transcendent force that Moses has a direct channel to, is saying to Moses. And then what Moses receives is that Moses is to now say to Aaron, and to the priests, and then also is to say to the people. So there's this sense of communication from on high, as it is said, into the mouths of the humans, including the humans like Moses, who at one time said, "I'm mute, I can't speak." So there's a transformation that Moses is now the channel of these words to Aaron, and Aaron and the priestly caste are the first recipients of these sayings in this parsha. And so much of Leviticus and this parsha is specifically, well, what is it about the way these priests are to live so that they can really fulfill their function of, uh, as much as we can, uniting form and formlessness, of bringing together mind and body and spirit, so that they are the channels of the unification. And I was reading some of what the mystics say about some of the uh, rules that are created for the lives of the priests in relation to this, their mission as unifiers. And so I like to, as much as I can, go to some of the rules and laws and happenings in Torah that kind of are the most distasteful for me as a modern 21st century woman, and see, well, what's the learning here? So I did that with Amor. I went right to the prohibition. It says that the male priests, the male members of the Levites, the priestly caste, are prohibited from marrying divorced women. Well, I am a divorced woman. I can imagine half of us on this call or more are divorced women. So that's a little bit, distasteful. Like, oh, what does that mean? So I wanted to see, not to justify it, just to kind of understand how has this been looked at in a way that could be spiritually elevating. And I did find kind of what I just said, that in the Jewish mystical tradition, first of all, the highest unification, according to some teachers like Sarah Yehudit Schneider, and also I think from the Zohar, is the unification of the masculine and the feminine energies. And someone who has been divorced is someone who, in one sense, has participated in a severing of those energies. So protecting the priests from marrying someone who has participated in the severing of those energies uh, could be seen as a way of, um, really creating at the center of a spiritualized society, people who are being held up by the forces of unifying the masculine and the feminine. So do with that what you would like. I think it's interesting. I did contemplate, would I feel differently about this prohibition if it was reversed, like the Torata, the movement of Yael Kanerek and other, I think mostly Israeli feminists, Torah lovers, to regender Torah. So would I feel better about this prohibition if the priests they were speaking about were women, and the divorced prohibition was about men? Um, Probably not, although it helps a little bit. So um, do with that what you will. And I think I just want to appreciate how creative our mystical tradition is. And this is a tradition, this is a mainstream part of mainstream Judaism. This isn't out there too far. It's out there and it's part of the mainstream. And so I think there's a beauty to that. Um, so these experiences that Emor speaks about so much, that are bodily experiences that can cause us to plunge more deeply into the consciousness of separation, are called tameh, or tameh causing experiences. And what we're seeing, I think, in Leviticus, and in the development of Torah's view of how to build this society with spirituality at its center, is that the importance of, um, first of all, knowing in your life, as you go through life, what are the experiences that we have that feed our tendency to separate from each other, from the divine, from society. So I think that Torah is really calling on us, and especially the priests, because they have that particular role, calling on all of us, though, to create a society that helps us be more aware of what is it that's being fed in our communications, in our friendships, in our families, in our media, in what we read, in the movies we see. What is it that is being fed? Is it the parts of us that are really moving toward unification and connection and understanding, awareness of the interconnectedness, and especially because it's Torah, our connectedness to God? Or are we feeding through our lives and our conversations and our judgments separation? And so that is the way that I understand these tameh, and what the problem is with these experiences that move us into a tameh, um, a state of tameh, which generally I think it is accurate to think of it as a state that is such a strong plunge, like being overcome by such a strong physical experience that we forget that we are more than just our physicality. And of course, when we think that all we are is our physicality, that is something that feeds our tendency for domination and possessiveness and material and wanting more, 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 never enough, never enough. So the specific tameh experiences that are described in this parsha and in the Torah are ones like um, coming into contact with death, with a death body, uh, uh, menstruation, ejaculation, these states that are these huge physical experiences that can be so overwhelming that we really forget that, that's not all we are, or we lose our capacity to see these events as magnificent transitions to something greater. And I was thinking about some of my own teme causing experiences, and I've actually had every single one that's been mentioned in Emor, being with a dead body, like serving with a Chevra Kadisha a few times, including in our own Woodstock Jewish congregation, thinking about that. But menstruation, childbirth. I remember when my grandson was born and I was standing between my daughter's legs, and in that moment of his birth, I absolutely experienced myself coming into a new identity. It was this huge experience. And when we are in these transitions, same thing if you're with a parent, and it is so significant that the priests, they are allowed to come in contact with the body of their mother or father. That's the only body, I believe, that they're allowed to come in contact with. And think about it, when you are in contact with the physical death of your parent, that is the birth of a completely new identification for you. Orphan, elder, your place in your own family and societal generation completely shifts, right? When the generation above you leaves. And so we can become so consumed in these individual identities when we go through these tameh, when we causing experiences, right? That we forget our connection to the one and to the oneness. And so the last thing I'll say is, what does Torah prescribe? Because part of being human is that we will come in contact with these experiences, and we want to. They're not just negative experiences, they're experiences that open us to completely new identities and new frontiers. And what Torah is saying is that you need to take what I'm calling tameh time to integrate these experiences, to reboot yourself, to integrate the new roles that come as we go through society. And Torah creates this integration space and time in a very Gevurdic, very strong, legal way by saying that when you have been exposed to one of these major physical uh, experiences that shakes you up to your bones and is supposed to shake you up to your bones, you need to take integration time. You need to take integration time. And I think taking this integration time is also one way of understanding why the whole second part of this parsha, which I'm sorry I don't have time to talk about, are the appointed times with the divine, and that is how all the holidays are described: Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, um, uh, uh, several, counting the Omer, Shavuot. These are called appointed times, mo'adeh, from the word mo'adin, which comes from the Hebrew root to witness. These are witnessing times when we can witness, separate from our everyday busyness of life and witness what is our relationship to oneness, to the divine. It's such a chock full parsha again, that like when you first look at it, you think, what is this weird stuff about the priests and the people and the tame and the pure, impure, which is how it's usually translated. And when you look deeper, there's such beautiful Torah Dharma for us, to not rush into a retreat and out of a retreat, which I found myself doing this past weekend, to not rush in and out of any of these experiences, to take time. If you find the rituals in Judaism to be meaningful ways of taking time, that's awesome. And there's so many others. So I just want to bless us all. I think as we're moving into a new month, this beautiful new season, that we just take time for each breath. I just noticed how I was hardly breathing while I was speaking. And it's just this taking time to integrate, I think, is what can really help us create the society that we're meant to have, and we're so far from now. Thank you.